Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Scorpio Video Club. This is a private recording for patrons of Timeline Astrology, and this is a look at Zohran Mamdani, his birth chart, and some timing techniques that I'm going to show you. I'm going to share with you now. We have a very good time of birth for him. We have an A-rated time of birth for him, at least. So it's pretty good. I'm going to show you the time and his details if you want to input it for yourself if you're working along with the chart. He was born on the 18th of October. Take note of that date. We're going to come back to that. 1991 at 1:15 a.m. in Kampala, I think it is, in Uganda. So I've got the North and South Indian charts open. I've also got his D1 and D10, 10th referring to the Dashamsha. We can also look at the Navamsha, but just to keep it simple, I'm going to keep just these two. I've got a couple of dashas open as well, the Vimshottri and Chara. All of these highlight why he gained this position as mayor of New York now, and also why I think that it's not just about his role as mayor. It is also about a movement. In one way, he started something. You can sense it, I'm sure, and it's more especially more immediately because of Jupiter's ingress into Cancer. So Jupiter is now exalted in Cancer. It moved in on what date do you think? The 18th of October. So was his birthday. That means that the sun at that time as well just moves into Libra. You can see the sun in Libra in his birth chart. And these are a few of the reasons why he is, a person who is caring. That's Cancer, and also a person who is more able to forego his own needs in a way and think about others. That's Sun in Libra. There's some other things going on here as well, of course, because you might think, well, how does somebody with the Sun in Libra gain such a position of power? Because the Sun is debilitated in Libra, is it not? But here we have a few different Nichabanga, in a sense, or what I call mitigating factors. One is Mars. Mars is with the sun in Cancer. So when you have the sun debilitated in Libra, you look to the opposite sign, Aries, which is ruled by Mars. And then when Mars is with the sun, that's one. Mars is also in a square from the ascendant, that's another. Mars is in a square from the moon, which also happens to be the ascendant lord, that's another. And then we have an exchange between Sun and Venus because Venus is in Leo. So it's as if the sun goes back to Leo and Venus goes to Libra. So there's quite a few, that's five, I've counted just there, of mitigating factors for this sun, which makes him, again, in a very prominent role, in a very sun-like role. And why now? Because we'll see this in the timing of why now. But even just knowing that Mars is helping out that sun, the Venus also this ability to push ahead, this Mars-like youthful and vigor and energy that he has, as well as the Venusian kind of thing that he has also, which is this likability factor. So let's get straight into the timing techniques. So you'll see here, I've got a lot open on the screen. I know it might seem a bit overwhelming at first, but and pardon me with the Navamsha if you prefer the North Indian. I just want to show you the Navamsha here on the bottom and then the Dashamsha here as well. So Vimshottri and Chara, why now? Well, he's in Jupiter Mahadasha, number one. So there's a few reasons for this. Jupiter is, yes, in Leo, which is the sun's sign, which is bringing in that quality of the sun. And again, you can literally imagine it as if the sun has swapped with Venus and gone back to Leo. So now it's sun and Jupiter in a way. But it is also just that, this Jupiter is in the second sign because this is quite obvious if you look at it. Jupiter in the second sign and a dasha of Jupiter means that Jupiter's aspecting the sixth and 10th sign. These are places of work, and more especially the highest sign, the 10th, his position as mayor, this desire to be in that position. So that's what it means to have Jupiter in the second sign. So don't just think, oh, it's Jupiter in the second sign, and this dasha would mean it's all about second house matters. No, same in Trump's chart, by the way. Jupiter is in the second sign. It means that, yes, that's one of the themes, but it's also that it aspects the 10th house. So when you're in a dasha of a planet, in other words, the aspect kicks in. The desire of the planet wakes up So Jupiter in the second sign is going to aspect the 10th sign and bring this desire to be in a position of power. So that's kind of obvious. But in his chart, Mamdani's chart, I mean, there's also another link here, and that's with Rahu. So I've said this before, and I'll say it again and again. You cannot have a politician without some Rahu link. You can have the Jupiterian idealism and all of that, and he has that now. Obviously, he's really fueled by this Jupiter exaltation in Cancer, moving into his rising sign. So there's this great sense of hope, and it's all resting on his shoulders. But you cannot have that on its own to get into politics. You have to have Rahu. And of course, you can see here, Rahu is in Jupiter's sign, Sagittarius, and aspecting Jupiter. Jupiter's aspecting back. But what that means is, and you'll see in the dashas, is that he's already been through all of the Rahu dasha, right? And now he's in Jupiter dasha. But because they mingle with each other, Rahu's in Jupiter's sign, aspecting Jupiter, Jupiter's aspecting back. It's not a swap, but it's kind of like he's having a very Rahu experience now in Jupiter dasha, like he was having a very Jupiter experience in Rahu. Because again, Rahu's in Jupiter's sign. So what it might mean to say is that he was very idealistic from the beginning, you might say, in his childhood and teens and moving into his 20s, but now he's taking that ambition or that idealism and being more ambitious with it in this Jupiter dasha. So you'll also see here that it's Jupiter Venus at the moment, and now we have to say why Venus, and again why is quite clear because I've already pointed it out, because Venus, sorry, let me go back here to the North Indian. Venus is swapping with the sun. So it's kind of like having a Jupiter Sun dasha. It is Jupiter Venus. Because Venus is swapping with the sun, it's like Jupiter Sun. So the sun comes in, which is about power. And the sun, like it's in Leo, is very powerful in that sense. But in another way, no, kind of more practical, down to earth way, sun is in Libra. It is absolutely is in Libra. You can't deny that. But it's in the fourth sign, which in terms of politics is very much opposite the leader, against the leader. It's the oppositional party, actually. The 10th house is the leader, and then the fourth house is the opposition party. So it's activating that kind of coming in as the kind of against, I don't know if this happens all the time, but like the mayor of New York, well, I guess it does in this day and age, but coming into that position as mayor and him pitted against the president, essentially, which is not going to be straightforward, obviously, and we can look at this as well in the upcoming cycles and transits and everything else. But that's to say why he came in this particular dasha. There are other reasons why it's Jupiter Venus. Jupiter Venus, you might see in the Navamsha on the right hand side, are rising in the Navamsha. This is now not just him like coming into power, it's his purpose. His purpose in a way with Jupiter, Venus, and the moon there all rising in Leo. And now you're looking at a different part of him, a different side to him, a deeper, maybe more hidden side to him, because outwardly he is that Cancerian caregiver or a caring person, and then inwardly he has a Leo vibe. Essentially, he wants power. He wants to be in charge. And this Jupiter, Venus, and Moon all and Uranus all together in Leo and then Navamsha is showing that's a big purpose for him in his life. So obviously this Jupiter, Venus dasha has triggered this purpose, this bigger purpose. Now, other things are there, of course, as well. We can look at the Charadasha as well. We can see that Capricorn is the Charadasha, Capricorn, Taurus at the moment. So let's just focus on Capricorn and then Taurus. Capricorn is the seventh host sign, and we see here his ruling planet, Moon, Cancer ascendant, in Capricorn with Saturn. This is also very powerful, but it's very powerful in terms of helping others. So the rising sign ruler going to the seventh house is about investing all your energy into the other people. And the fact that it's with Saturn, which is in its own sign, Capricorn, and it's in directional strength in the seventh house, means that this person will take on that responsibility for others, as you can see. So this sign now is activated in Charadasha. This is another reason why he's come into power now. But there's more. There are more reasons why he's in power. And that is also, we can look at another layer. There's so many layers always. Another layer are the Arudas. This is again, a concept that not a lot of astrologers know. It's certainly not in Western tradition at all. But basically, Arudas are what I call attained signs. The word Aruda literally means attainment in a spiritual context, like attaining nirvana, for example. But in this context, it's very different. It's like an attainment of something tangible. So essentially how it works is, and we can look at this, I'll give you the example of the Aruda Lagna, the attained ascendant. A Lagna is ascendant. We look at Cancer, we see that it's Cancer. That's who he is deep down. Or again, maybe even deeper down is Leo with the Navamsha ruling the rising sign. But Cancer is his ascendant in the Rashi, the D1. You count from Cancer to the ruler, the moon, which is 7 signs, and you count the same again from the moon in Capricorn back to Cancer. And the rule is you cannot have the Aruda, the attained ascendant, in your sign, in the sign that you began the count from, because it's a perceptual thing. It's the image that the image basically that people see you as. They don't see you, nobody sees you as your true self unless you really get to know them. Really, it's kind of like a recognition of somebody in a sort of like a reputation that somebody builds up based on who they are deep down and where they put their energy and focus. So who you are deep down is your ascendant. Where you put your energy and focus is the ascendant ruler, and the result of that is the attained ascendant. And so you cannot have it in the ascendant. That's the rule. I don't make the rules. Anyway, it works. So in this case, the rule is you count 10 from there because the 10th house is the most visible house. And so you can see here the Aruda is in the 10th. Now, do you think that this fits him? I do. I think it fits him because he is certainly a very Aries kind of go-getter. He seems to me very, that kind of Aries kind of energy. And that's how we see him. And it's not just how we see him, but it's important because it's placed in the 10th house sign. And so this coming into power now at this very powerful time for him with Mars so powerful as well, ruler of his 5th and 10th house, in his 5th house. I do think that's another part of it. But there's more because all of this is going to be reflected in the dashas. So Capricorn, remember, I said, is the Chara dasha, the sign that's activated in the timeline. Capricorn is 10th from the Aruda. So you count from Aries and you see that Capricorn is the 10th. So again, him coming into power. So the Arudas can be used as an ascendant, literally, and read the chart from it as your ascendant, and you'll see very many things, very practical things. But we could also add another layer, and we can see here that there's the A9 and A10. So there are Arudas for all the signs and the tangible end results of all the signs. And so if we're looking at the 10th house, we want to see not just the 10th house, we want to see the Aruda of the 10th house to see the end result of the 10th house, him getting a position of power. So we count from Aries, we do the same, and it's actually similar to Cancer. We count from Aries to Mars, which is opposite. We count 7 signs to Mars, and we count the same again from Mars and Libra. We end up back in Aries. And again, the rule is you can't have it where you started the count from. So you count 10 from there, the most visible. And that's why you have the A10 in Capricorn. Again, Capricorn is the dasha. So that's why he came into power now. Not just the Vimshottari dasha, the planetary dasha, but just shows the desire for something, with Jupiter there in the 2nd house aspecting the 10th house, the desire to be in a position of power or a position in authority or whatever you want to say. But now also the sign dasha of Capricorn, highlighting that kind of attainment of that power. Literally, Aruda means attainment. So they're the main dashas you can focus on. And then we can translate that into the Navamsha, like I said, and also the Dashamsha here, which I have open as North Indian and South Indian, just so you can see it. So here we'll see that it's Jupiter, sorry, here we'll see it's Capricorn Taurus. So Taurus, why is that? Of course, Taurus is rising in the Dashamsha, the D10, and Moon is exalted there. So this is another indication why this chart now is getting triggered at this time with an exalted Moon. So this guy's very popular. So you want to have Moon very powerful if you're going to be popular, and so you can't have it more powerful than exaltation in Taurus rising, which is now activated in the Chara dasha. Remember, it's Capricorn Taurus. So that's another reason. And even looking at the Dashamsha and the 10th house of the Dashamsha being Aquarius, which is again ruled by Saturn, as well as Rahu. Again, you're bringing in the Rahu combination, the kind of ambition, but also Saturn, because Saturn has its own ambition. But Saturn in this chart, again, Dashamsha, I mean, just as it is in its D1, is in the 7th house. And so his ambition is about other people, about helping other people. I hope I'm not being too idealistic when I'm reading this, but I mean, I don't want to have that kind of bias. But certainly he seems that way, and this chart would suggest this. You know, he is a social democrat after all. So it doesn't mean that he doesn't have ambition, though. He doesn't have Rahu. Again, I've never seen a chart of a politician who didn't have a prominent Rahu in some shape or form. So you have to have that ambition in a way, but it's how you use that that's important, isn't it? So there are a few techniques you can use more and more. You can also see in the Navamsha, for example, that Taurus is the 10th host sign. Venus is the ruler in the first sign. So it's Jupiter, Venus, remember, and then Capricorn, Taurus is activated. You know, that Taurus being the 10th host sign in the Navamsha. Again, more and more layers compound. You know, it's like confluence of indications that show why he's come into power now, not just the Bimshotri, not just the desire. You need the desire and the capability. You need the resource, you need the environment to be able to get into power, whatever about your desire. So I hope that's been of help. If you have any questions about any of that, that was just short and sweet. Just wanted to show you in terms of his chart. I don't want to really go forward with this in a way, even though we could, and I don't want to get like, you down on this because there is a swell and movement now that I think we need to acknowledge. Like it's reached a crest. It is going to crash back down for a while, obviously, with Jupiter going retrograde and then going back signs, but it is going to come back again next year as it re-enters Cancer by the 1st of June 2026. So definitely hold on to that as a hope if you are looking at him as a kind of spearhead, a figurehead of this new hope, this new movement. Whether it's him or not next year or someone else, I think he's started something. I really do. So anyway, I hope that has been helpful. Hope you enjoyed that. And until next time.